Hello everybody, today I'm here with some more Disney Mirrorverse and we get to showcase the two new characters. First one is going to be King Triton, who, he's pretty detailed. You can kind of see like even on the armor there, just so many little scales and stuff. A lot of stuff in his design, and his trident is pretty cool too. I like the idea that what they did with the his water instead of having like a fish tail. But let's look real quick. I apologize for any background noises, but there definitely will be some throughout the video. So Ocean's Resolve. King Triton is immune to burn. King Triton's heavy attack has a 50% chance to purge all attack buffs from enemies hit. Whoops. Whirling Tides. King Triton pulls all enemies within a large radius around him to his current location. Pulls, I assume, just means, yeah, they move towards him and they are interrupted from their current action, so that's also good. It deals 200% damage to each target and roots them too. A whirlpool appears at his feet with a 10-second duration, while active King Triton gains Braced. Brace protects target from any stun, knockback, or pushback effects. This sounds pretty dang strong. Enemies hit by King Triton's heavy attack while within his whirlpool become rooted for 4 seconds. King Triton gains 2% armor for each enemy within his whirlpool. This effect activates every 1 second. So even armor for just having enemies in the whirlpool. That's kind of like the opposite of Baymax's in a way. His Tempest of Fury, King Triton gains 50% direct damage resistance to shock. When King Triton activates his whirlpool, all their allies gain Brace for 6 seconds. To that. I think that means when you upgrade it, right? Anyways, going to his talents, we gotta figure out which ones are gonna be best to equip. I'll just do defense. I don't think we're gonna need more health, really. So either we increase root or he gains more defense. Sure, let's just increase root. I don't really have a preference. And then we'll do the last one. Oops. We'll do the last one. So yeah, we can also look at the bio here. I will also be reading through his developer notes later on when we go to a tower. Hopefully we have the Seafaring Tower for both him and Elizabeth. Elizabeth Swan will be tomorrow's showcase, so if you want to see me showcase her, you can come back tomorrow. And we will be playing with her similarly to how we were doing with King Triton. We're going to start off with what I usually do and go into the 1v1 showdown. I'm going to try to find... I never even looked. Is he melee or what is he? I guess I can look this way. So he is tank. Makes sense. So that's what we want. So King Triton is our third Little Mermaid character. Let's stop to just look at his animations too. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's kind of similar, like the water at the bottom reminds me of how they did it in both Sorcerer's Arena and Disney Heroes. Because obviously he can't just like walk around with a fin. But this makes sense too. It also reminds me a lot of how they did like the figures. Who's the figure I'm thinking? Well, no, it's Genie. It's really similar to Genie actually. His is just like purple. And there's this animation that was pretty cool too. Like you could really feel the weight of the trident. And yeah, trident is a cool weapon too. I forget. I'm pretty sure Ariel also has a trident, but it's definitely a different design. I would assume maybe this one is similar to the one from the new movie, which I also haven't discussed, but if you didn't realize already, this King Triton is based on the new live-action movie, not the original. Obviously, each of the characters look a bit different, but I think it's pretty safe to say they're going for a more realistic look here than the original, or even just like most characters in the game. And we'll talk about that more. I think I'll show it when we do Elizabeth Swan. Well, I guess these are both live action people, but the the other human characters, like the princesses, for example, who are from animated movies but are still human characters, something very distinctive about them is like their cartoony look. And obviously, King Triton doesn't look completely lifelike, but I would say he looks more human. And I would say the main thing, not human, but he looks like a real person. And I think the main thing that contributes to that is the size of the eyes. Almost every character, like Aladdin, for example, who isn't even a princess, has really big eyes in comparison to the rest of their face, which makes them look a lot more cartoony, whereas his eyes are proportioned to the rest of his face. I think that just makes him look more like an actual person, and they did the same thing with Elizabeth Swann too, and she's very easy to compare to like a princess, just based on their facial features. They're pretty similar, but again, the eyes are much smaller than someone like Belle's. I might directly show it when we showcase her next, but right now it's kind of hard to tell what I think of King Triton. Like, I don't think much of anything, to be honest with you. He kind of just seems like a guardian, but we are only fighting one person. It sounds like his skills can be really good for a big group of enemies, and even a great way to protect your fellow teammates, especially the root thing. You're not only bringing enemies towards you, but you're putting them in place next to you. So if they're a melee character, they actually just cannot go up to someone else. We also get the braced, which is pretty good. Like, I don't know, against someone with knockback abilities, I'm sure it'll be good. And we'll hear more about that when I do the developer notes here in a second. We're just gonna get out of this real quick. Oh shoot, did I not pick the right thing? I guess I just didn't read it. Oh, I think I did a melee one. Whoops. So yeah, hopefully there's a seafaring one. Probably not. Oh, there is. Okay. I think they're both seafaring. I don't know if I'll try to do both of them with this, but probably not. She might be... Well, he might be royalty. Was the other one royalty? Yeah, so we could maybe do this, because I'm pretty sure Elizabeth Swann is going to be seafaring too. So we could choose him, since he kind of fits it. And then we don't have to be too specific about the other ones. I guess, you know, I haven't really been doing teams, so I'll probably never do it, but because I feel like doing it. Let's get a little mermaid team up in here. They honestly look like they're all from different series. King Triton stands out a lot from the other two, which I think is maybe the main reason why it's weird to have him in this form. I don't know. It's just weird when the other two are not in the in the live action movie form. He completely stands out compared to them. I don't know. It's fine. Let's go through his developer notes. So, tell us about this Guardian's transformation. Stellar magic has turned King Triton into a true water tempest, merging him with the oceans of the world, becoming one with the water. When spotted, calm, and in control, he appears much like his old merfolk self, but when enraged, his transformation to water tempest takes form, allowing him to stretch out of the waters like an elemental, controlling all oceans tied to his will, quickly overturning any unlucky vessels from the human world in his ire. What were your design goals? King Triton is an overprotective character, and when mixed with his hot temper, can showcase true feats of strength and resilience. I feel like that's honestly a perfect way to, I feel like those traits are very true to at least what he was in the original movie. I forgot to put it on auto, so, whoops. Being that he's now merged with the oceans of the world, we wanted to make it feel as if water is bending to his will. With that being said, his primary utility is crowd control, summoning a large whirlpool at his feet upon activating a special ability that pulls in all enemies to the center, rooting them there for King Triton to attack. This allows him to protect allies by keeping the attention on him while showcasing his powers with water. He also purges all attack buffs on enemies with his heavy attack, allowing him to control strength supremacy on the battlefield. What abilities does the Guardian have? We've already kind of gone over this. I might just read it for the sake of not skipping over anything. King Triton has the first AoE pull ability in the game, being his special ability Whirlpool, grabbing enemies in a large radius around Triton and pulling them to his location for him to attack. Not only are enemies initially rooted by the special ability, but heavy attacks on enemies in the Whirlpool root them for additional lengths of time, While enemies are in King Triton's whirlpool, he gains armor every second, so rooting them in there is beneficial. King Triton is also introducing a new mechanic to the game in the form of the brace buff. So brace is new, I wasn't sure about that. Via talents, King Triton can become even more powerful or absorb even more damage by granting defense buffs, additional armor, or even allowing his whirlpool to deal damage over time to enemies trapped within. Describe the Guardian's playstyle. King Triton can work great as an AI-controlled character in your party, as his special ability has a large radius, allowing the AI to effectively trap and ensnare enemies. His AI setup leans more favorably towards heavy attacks, which plays well with his kit, purging attack buffs and rooting them with his heavy attack. Once the signature is unlocked, his special can lend even more assistance to allies in the party, lessening the need for manual control even further. So, I mean, that's good that we have a good AI character. What you're watching on screen right now is AI controlled. To utilize King Triton most effectively, you'll want to manually control him and be mindful of positioning when activating his special ability. His special does not have a large amount of damage on purpose, as Triton benefits from enemies alive in his whirlpool. When enemies are pulled in via the special ability, the gameplay is like a game of whack-a-mole, where you'll want to continually keep all enemies rooted within the whirlpool. If King Triton is equipped with particular talents 4, 5, 6, his whirlpool allows him to generate massive amounts of armor as well as start to deal damage to enemies over time while stuck in the whirlpool. Having the increased root duration talent increases the effectiveness of keeping them in the whirlpool. This plays into his core gameplay loop of wanting to utilize his special ability to impact the most enemies, and while within the whirlpool, keep their attention by utilizing his heavy attacks to keep enemies rooted within, generating armor and dealing additional damage. So I do not have specifically the talents 4, 5, and 6 equipped, but it does sound like maybe that's, like, if you aren't sure what you're doing, that maybe that's just the best way to go about it. I'll try to keep that in mind too. I don't feel the need to change this because we're not going to really ever fight any really hard enemies, but just keeping that in mind when I eventually unlock him for real. What allies pair best with this Guardian? King Triton works great with Guardians who have strong AoE special abilities, not necessarily characters that have single target special abilities or those in which it's harder to target multiple opponents. These Guardians could be Anger, Sully, Frank Wolf, Mulan, and many others that can effectively hit multiple targets within an area. Also, allies that boost focus can play into his DPS nature, defense into his tank nature. I don't know why they said that twice, but these Guardians could be Scrooge, Hero, Dory, Tron, and a plethora of other attribute buffers. What enemies does this Guardian counter? King Triton's long-range pull from his whirlpool allows him to effectively reach enemy targets hiding in the backline, usually characters that are soft and don't want to be in the thick of danger. Due to this, he can be very effective at keeping ranged and support Guardians constantly on their toes and having to reposition instead of attack. Bringing King Triton as well into encounters that encompass lots of micro elementals or lots of enemies in general will allow him to benefit fruitfully from his armor gain generated off his special ability. Upon leveling up his signature ability to max level, he gains 100% resistance to shock, which will benefit him greatly against any shock opponent. This will play a big part in Triton being a strong counter to the Stormborn giant. His unique braced ability as well can grant himself and allies immunity to stun, which is a big counter to the micro shock elements that appear over the course of the battle. His natural immunity to burn also provides him as a strong counter to enemies that has their kits heavily rely on that, such as Maleficent or Hades. I feel like at some point Zeus will probably show up as well, and if you have that 100% shock resistance, I'd say it's safe to say Zeus would have that. So yeah, like I feel like a Hercules team he would be good against or something, you know. Who is best to defeat this Fractured Guardian? As much as King Triton can generate armor effectively, he is still weak to DOT effects. Freeze, bleed, and poison are effective against him, but not shock and burn, as he can become resistant to shock damage and is immune to burn. Brace grants targets immune to stun, pushback, and knockdown, but doesn't prevent pull. Woody can be used as an effective counter to King Triton, as he can remain out of his whirlpool range and pull Triton out of his protected whirlpool. Now that is interesting. I wouldn't have even thought of that. Stifle can be a strong counter to King Triton as well, as Stifle prevents King Triton from effectively kicking off his gameplay loop. Moana is an effective counter in this regard, battling for a command of the water. Guardians that have a chance to lower root durations or immunity to root either on themselves or allies also will shorten the window for King Triton to be effective while stuck in the whirlpool. Jasmine being one Guardian that comes to mind, and also deals true damage, which goes through armor. Guardians that have burst DPS can also be dangerous for King Triton if he pulls them too close at a moment where they're ready to pounce, as his special doesn't stun or cause interruption. I thought it did, but okay. Anyways, I did actually learn a bit from that. Again, if you don't know what you're doing, like myself, it makes sense to maybe do the 4, 5, and 6 talents. I also just wanted to say that you guys won't get to know who this is, but at one point these developer notes accidentally leaked a future character by listing one of the characters that King Triton will counter, which is pretty funny. I wonder if maybe this character that was accidentally revealed was maybe meant to come out before King Triton at one point, but maybe he was brought up because of the movie or something, or the other character was pushed back for a reason or another. But, I mean, I don't think I'm supposed to say who the character is, so all I'll say is that, I don't know, the character makes sense. I don't think it's anything that crazy of a surprise, but I'm still really interested to see what their design will be, but I pretty much would say that for any character, to be honest with you. So let's finish this out. I'll do one attack, or one battle by myself, and then we'll wrap up the video. Again, King Triton works great for big groups of enemies. I don't think we really ever came across that. Something that really made sense that I read in the developer notes is like the little storm guys. The little elemental guys, I guess. Like right there. They get rooted, they pull forward, they pretty much all instantly died, which again is not really what you want. You want enemies in your whirlpool. But I can't think of many other characters off the top of my head. Like the one I would probably think of to use is like Mulan for big groups, just because she can kind of stand near them and continually deal damage to them with her special. But yeah, I mean, if you didn't already have a character that you felt was good for that kind of thing, King Triton's maybe the way to go. Either way, I think he's pretty cool. I don't like the live action Disney movies, so I kind of just have a bias against him in general, but I can't deny the amount of detail they put into his design and everything, and I think they did a good job of translating him into this game in a unique way that isn't something we've already seen before, which is always cool. Like, even if he's promoting a new movie, he's actually looks a bit different than he does in the movie. Not completely different. I'm pretty sure the top half of him is pretty much identical, but yeah. Anyways, I appreciate you watching. Again, come back tomorrow if you want to see Elizabeth Swann. I'm definitely more excited to try her out. But I will see you then. Goodbye.